and Michael. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our special guest speaker, Michael Gaultois. Michael's story is one of hope and inspiration. It is a story that he shares with many youth around the province and the country. Michael was born and raised not far from here in the Bay of Islands area near Cornerbrook. He didn't have much as a child, but realized early on that the most important things in life are not really things at all, but the love and support of family and friends. He also learned that hard work and determination are important if you ever want to be successful in life. At school, Michael experienced difficulty. Being small, he was often bullied by other students, so Michael knows firsthand what it's like to experience bullying and meanness from other students. It is a topic which he will focus on today during his presentation. Michael's life path has taken many twists and turns. As a teenager, he made some poor decisions which impacted him in ways that he still must deal with today. He was severely burned in a tragic fire. He will discuss this with us and how it has shaped him to be the person he is today. Despite many painful physical and emotional experiences, Michael finds much satisfaction in helping others make better choices and life decisions. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our Stand Up Week special guest, Michael Gaultois.
Perfect. Good morning. I guess you guys are still asleep, man. It's this afternoon, boys. Come on. Quiet bunch. Wow. You know, I always notice every time I walk into a room, people can tell I have a story. It's written all over me. 27 years ago this March, I made a choice that changed my life forever. Myself and some buddies decided we'd build a camp in the woods and hang out. Many times we went there. A lot of times there was drugs, a lot of times there was alcohol. It wasn't a safe place to be in. We were teenagers at the time. We were young and we were invincible. We felt like, you know, this won't happen to us. Many times getting the warning signs from grandparents, parents that we should be out and being involved in those activities. But I didn't listen. And one of the most important lessons I've learned in my life is to learn to trust your gut. How many of you have ever had an experience where you were in a situation or you were faced with a decision and you had a gut feeling that something wasn't right? Can I see your hands, please? Anybody? Raise your hands. How many have ever experienced that gut feeling, what it's like? I'd be willing to bet all of you. I'm sure we've had situations where you kind of get the first feeling you get is like, this don't feel right to me. Have you had that feeling? It's a natural feeling we all have. I didn't listen to that night of March 25th, 1991, and my life was about to change forever. I want to bring you back to that moment. 27 years ago, I have a taping that was done on VHS years ago on the old system, a CBC News documentary just after the fire. In that short little clip, there's some very important messages. Messages I wish I would have listened to because I believe my life would have been so much different today. You see, I spent a lot of my life following the path of other people, being in places I shouldn't have been, just because I wanted to fit in, I wanted to be loved, I wanted to be accepted. That's all I ever wanted. And no matter where it took me, I took that risk. Instead of learning to choose my own path in life, or learning to speak up when people were treating me unfairly, my life would have taken a whole different path. I want to take you back. It's my story.
There was a hero's greeting in Deer Lake this afternoon. It was to welcome home young Michael Gaultois. Gaultois was badly burned in a cabin fire in Irish Town back in March. As Terry Ledru reports, he's still recovering 6 months later. Sylvia Rose spent the morning in her Irish Town kitchen cooking.
This is Sir Michael.
A Jig's dinner to make up for the last time she saw her grandson, Michael Gaultois, the afternoon before he was burned.
And he said, Nanny, I'm going to have a lunch. I said, go on, boy, get yourself, because I'm not getting ready.
Michael was 15 when he and 3 buddies decided to build a makeshift cabin in the hills behind Irish Town. His grandmother watched him go, despite her protests.
I said, Michael, my son, give it up. I said, for God's sake, I said, you're going to be burned. He said, no, Nanny. He said, I won't be burned. I said, oh, you know that, Michael. He said, I'm careful enough.
But someone wasn't careful, and during the night of March 25th, the cabin went up in flames with the boys in it. 14-year-old Corey Muse perished. With 85% of his body burned, Michael Gaultois nearly died too. His younger brother Jason wasn't allowed to see Michael after the fire. 6 months of phone calls and letters have kept them in touch, and now he's coming home.
Perfect kid. I can't wait till he gets home, see him again. It's been so long, and, after all, he is my brother. So.
And he's lucky to be around, I guess.
Yes, I guess he is lucky.
This evening, Jason's brother came home. After 6 long months at the Shriners Hospital for Kids in Boston, Michael Gaultois was looking forward to one thing.
I'll probably enjoy a home cooked meal.
You have something
And that's going to make one grandmother very happy. With the people who made Michael's recovery possible looking on, the kid who survived that awful blaze in Irish Town was reunited with another who made it too. Glenn Gouju is also recovering from severe burns. Now Michael has to start rebuilding his life. He'll be spending the next few days at Western Memorial Hospital, where a treatment plan has been set up. And periodically, he'll fly back to Boston for skin grafts. Tomorrow, he goes to his old school in Irish Town for a special assembly to help reunite him with his community. Terry LeDrew, CBC News at Deer Lake Airport.
Still seems like yesterday to me. I look back on that and I realize how far I've come in such a short time. And I don't know if any of you had noticed me in that video, but I was definitely a different person then than I am now in terms of my appearance. And I realize, as I look around the room here, we're all different on the outside. All of us. We come from different backgrounds. We have different features about us. Different color eyes, different color hair, longer, shorter. We all have different things about us, but on the inside, we're all the same. We all share the same feelings. We all have stories too. Everybody in this room has a story. I'm only singed in comparison to the stories that other people have, that I've heard. The scars that people have inside, things they've gone through in their lives. Especially the things that may have been said to them. And realizing, is my life really worth it? Based on someone else's opinion. And I will say to you right now, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. But if someone's opinion of you is great, that's wonderful. But we also realize in this life that not everybody wishes us well. There are people that are going to be jealous of us, envious, okay? But you're going to find a lot of people that will support you and encourage you. But what that takes is a lot of courage from yourself to stand up and say, hey, I deserve this, I deserve better. And you can build that courage so much when you surround yourself by people that will encourage you. They say birds of a feather flock together, okay? If you're hanging out with people who are going nowhere, guess where you're going? That negative energy will grab hold of you. But if you're around people that, you just know when you're around these people, you can feel their energy, that smile, that happy to be alive. That's the kind of people you need to keep yourself close to. And I can tell you, I struggled for so many years to try to find that happiness. And I'm not saying you have to go through something tragic like I did for so many years. I'm standing here today, holding this microphone, when I couldn't even do anything for myself for many months. Couldn't go to the bathroom myself. I couldn't feed myself. Couldn't shower myself. It's nearly 7 months in a burn unit in the United States of America with the Shriners Hospitals for Children. I'm very lucky to have hands today. And you see me as I'm speaking. I don't have all my fingers. I don't have full function in my hands. Okay? But my thing is this. The way I look at it is, I don't focus on the fingers I lost. I focus on the fingers I got left. That's what it means to have an attitude of gratitude. That I am grateful for what I have. I focus on the things that I have rather than things that I don't have. And as the lady had mentioned earlier in my biography, that I realized early in life the most important things in life are not things at all, but love, supportive family, and a wonderful community. And as you can clearly see, the impact is great when you make choices. The impact don't affect you, it affects everybody around you. The decisions you make, the choices you make, the words that you speak, the words that you write, the way you treat people. But it all comes down to how you treat yourself. How many times was I kicked down to the bus stop in the morning, my lunch taken from me? How many times did people say stuff to me that really hurt me? I think about those moments. I think about those moments that I never stood up and said anything. You see, we teach people how to treat us. You see, and I didn't teach that person to treat me that way. Well, if you don't say anything, then a lot of times people's just going to get the impression that it's okay. Am I making any sense? It's so true, because people are only as comfortable with you as you are with yourself. If you're someone that looks yourself in the mirror in the morning and says, you know, I'm not a nice person. I don't like the way I look. How do you think people get that image of you? They get a mirror image too of how you see yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, how can we expect anyone else to? If you don't have any self-respect for you, how can you expect anyone else to have that same respect? I realized that in my life I was always good to people. And when I came home from the hospital, I got a hero's greeting, but I didn't feel like one. And I'm saying to you, it took me a lot of courage to be doing what I am today. And I've experienced a lot of pain in my life. And I know you will all experience pain at some points, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, wondering what your purpose is in life. I can't come here today and talk to you about success and this being a story of survival and overcoming and, you know, rebuilding one's life without talking to you about those hardships and those rough choices I've made. But see, it's not what happens to you in this life. It's what you choose to do about it. Life is basically 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And the way you react to your story either makes you a victim or a survivor. You choose. As I said to you, 27 years ago I made that choice. And certainly one that I'll never forget. No one else made that choice for me. No one held me at gunpoint. I made that choice myself. Make sure I'm pressing the right one here. I think it's working.
Space bar will do it.
Space bar will do? Thank you. As you can see here, I bear it after that night. Going up there turned out to be something very tragic. 4 boys were badly burned, 3 in hospital, and 1 didn't make it. I want to tell you a little bit more about that experience. What that was like when I talked to you earlier about that gut feeling that I should perhaps go home that night after going up there. I was home, this was our Easter break, it was in March 1991. I was home playing the old NES system. You guys remember that, Nintendo Entertainment System? The one you had to blow on the game like a dozen times to get it to work? Have any of you guys ever tried that one out? Or the new one that they came out, the retro one? You have one? Does it work? My favorite game was Super Mario 3. I love Super Mario. Kids still play that today. Like the game's like 30 years old or something. And I'm like, I'm playing this game, and I get kind of bored of it because you couldn't really save the game. And it was very challenging. I got a little bit frustrated. I put it down. I said, you know what? I'm gonna see what the boys are doing tonight. And I went up to the camp, and boys were cooking a feed on the stove. They had these pan-fried chips, like when you have a cookout, boil up, you know, if you've ever been out in the woods. And I had this big plate of pan-fried chips. And the boys said, one of the boys said, Mike, could I have some of those chips you got? My friend Corey said to me. I said, yeah, man, take whatever you want, I'm good. I never realized, guys, that would be the last time I'd ever see my friend alive. Last time I'd ever speak to him. You see, I was in that reclining chair downstairs after having a lunch, looking out the only window in this cabin with 1 window, 1 door, no proper exits. And I sat there in the chair and this strong, I had a funny feeling in my stomach. And then the voice just in my head said, go home. Michael, go home. You don't need to stay here. I didn't listen to that. I didn't listen to what my grandmother was saying. Michael, for God's sakes, don't go up there, you're going to be burned. What I did listen to was the students around me that were saying, you know, the friends that basically said to me, you know, stay up, Mike, it's going to be all right. So I fell to the peer pressure like I did many times in my life, and I stayed, even against my own gut feeling. I remember waking up shortly after midnight. I remember a friend downstairs, and there was some kind of commotion going on, and I couldn't quite hear it, and all of a sudden I was hearing, Mike. And all of a sudden, Mike, get up, the camp is on fire, get up! I can tell you guys, and I'm sorry if I startled you, but that scared the life out of me. I wish I would have heard the sound of a smoke alarm or something. And I know how sometimes annoying that can be in the house, especially when your parents are there and they might be burning something on the stove, right? I'll tell you, I was scared. I flipped out of the bunk up top and I fell right to the floor. And when I went downstairs, I said, oh my God. Oh my God. There was flames everywhere around the door and there's smoke everywhere. I couldn't really see. My friend picked up a stick, he broke out the window and he jumped out. I raced after him, I followed, and I got trapped in the broken glass. And the only way I was released from the window was when all my clothes burned off. Walking back up to the stage, and I could feel the tears flowing down in the mask. And I used to say, oh, it's great to be home. It's great to be back somewhere where people care about me. I never thought people really cared about me until that moment. You see, it's not ever going to matter in this life what you have. Cars, homes, toys, whatever you got. People are not going to care how much you know. And I'm not going to knock education. Education is very important. But they're not going to care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Does that make sense? People want to know you care about them. And I did care. I got reunited with my friend. This was the boy who left a candle burning, and he blamed himself many times. It's been tough for him. He's going through a hard time. Struggling with a lot of different issues. And that night he even tried to get me out, but he couldn't. Like I said, the only reason why I was released from the window was when all my clothes burned off. When I finally got out, 2 boys were carrying each other down one path, down the left path. I chose the right path. The right path was more rugged, more steep than the other path. But I realized this: we all have the path to choose sometimes. And in life, I chose to stay on the right path. Decided to go. When I went back to school, I was struggling, but I still was there. I was still present. I managed to save up enough money from delivering newspapers in the community. I started getting it around people. People were very encouraging to me. And I got my first car. And not only did I need it for work, but for another reason. Shriner's work helped give burn victim a new life. It's amazing to me now, as I look back here now, and after all this time, after all these years of speaking to thousands of people just like you, I'm holding this little boy here who's now a young adult. My son is now grown up. He's a registered nurse at the hospital. And you know what's amazing about this? I hold a little boy today in my arms just like him. Because my son just recently had a little baby boy. I have a new grandson, Blake Ryan. And I'm so blessed to be here on this planet, to have this second chance in life, to not only be a brother, to be a son, to be a father, to be a grandfather. The circle of life, the energy of having all these great things happen after all the trauma that I've experienced in my life. That good things really do happen. Life really starts to look up when we do. I went back to school, and even though I lost out a lot of school, I went back and graduated and taught my class. Not only did I rebuild my mind, but you saw that last image of me in the bed with no shirt on. I know many of you can probably remember where I was only 65 pounds. But I want to show you a new image, that dream I held on, that someday I'd be able to lift weights again and to be active again and to feel good about myself. And I did. I'm telling you now, there is no limit to what you can achieve when you believe in yourself. When you surround yourself people that believe in you, there is no limits. To have faith enough to say, hey, this may take me 10 years to get back and to stretch that skin and to be where I used to be. And things may never be the same again. But that doesn't mean life is over. That may just mean life's taken on a new beginning and a whole new appreciation for just the little things. There's no mountain too high that you can't climb above it. This is Gaultois National Park, by the way. This is on our wonderful west coast. This is not the biggest mountain in the world. I'm not talking about hiking Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest. This was more than a mountain to me. This was one of the biggest challenges from someone who had to learn how to walk again, to run, to doing this 4-hour hike up and down, the full day, but to see the beauty of everything around me. It's around us every day. Sometimes we don't even realize it. We live in one of the greatest places on the planet. The times of spending all this quality time with my son and giving back and meeting so many amazing people, you'll find as you look back on your life, the moments that will stand out for you are moments when you've done things for others. Little acts of kindness anywhere you go, and you learn too, if you volunteer your time a little bit, it'll give you a lot of direction in life. You might decide to volunteer at a garage somewhere. One of the boys might say, hey, help us out at the garage, and realize someday you want to be a mechanic. Or you may choose to say, hey, this is not my kind of work. But it gives you choices. but also gives you opportunity to do something great. I started volunteering for a burn camp where I met people just like me. One boy in the blue was bullied and he was intentionally set on fire with gasoline. There was a lot of jealousy over a girlfriend and a couple of boys set him on fire. He burned 90%, loved to sing, and now he has a lot of difficulty even speaking because of damage to his vocal cords. Those boys face very serious criminal charges. And it's just not about actions, it's about words sometimes, even what you write on Facebook. You make threats to people. I mean, years ago, if you said, well, I'm going to kill you or something, that's obviously a direct threat. But people don't realize the indirect threats they make to people, like, why don't you just go kill yourself? Nobody likes you. We got to stop and think about what's going on in that person's mind to say that. Makes me often wonder, do they like themselves? A lot of times it comes from people who are struggling themselves. I'm sure there are times in life that we never realized we were even a bully to someone, even to ourselves. Or if I have been bullied by someone else, and not intentional or not. It's about reaching out to others in time of need, people who are down. You see, I used to lift weights, but I find I gain more strength in lifting hearts. And if I lifted somebody's spirit here today, to think more about the choices you make, to think more about how you treat other people and how you treat yourself, if I help you see how precious your life is, just one person, then it's all worth it to me to drive all this way today. I've met many burn survivors around the world. Some amazing people. We're all out there making a difference in the world. But I'll never forget my friend who never got a chance to live his dream, and I feel like I'm so blessed to have this opportunity. My grandmother's message will always be with me. Before she passed on, she died of cancer. She was a heavy smoker, and I made a promise I would never smoke. But one of the things she said to me, she said, Michael, I want to tell you something. The devil don't want you, and the good Lord's not ready for you yet. Basically what she's telling me is, Mike, I got some work to do. I have a lot of purpose in my life today. I have a lot to be thankful for. My cousin Rocky, I'll always remember him. Had so much promise in his life. He had a heavy equipment license. He drove tractor trailers. He made some really good money in Alberta and Toronto. 25 years old, he made a bad choice. He used to drive cars around with his buddies and drove a little fast at times, but he also liked to drink too as well. Based on what you see in this picture, what do you think happened to Rocky? You think it was some sort of drinking and driving incident? Perhaps. Maybe he got in with someone who'd been drinking. Maybe someone said, well, I didn't have much to drink, I'm okay to drive. Maybe he was even hit by a drunk driver. It's a possibility he was even alcohol poisoned, because sometimes people can tend to overdo it. But it wasn't that at all. Rocky not only had a problem with alcohol, he had a problem with drugs. A drug called ecstasy. And as a major side effect of the drug was severe depression. I remember getting a call that day. Mom called up and said, Mike, you need to come over right now. Rocky just done himself in. So, oh my God. Rocky had a problem he didn't tell anybody about. What I'm saying to you is this. Rocky died in 2005. It still resonates with me. I still feel the emotions from that day. What I'm saying to you is, in your life, when you're ever faced with a serious challenge or decision, don't ever be afraid to say 3 words. The 3 words that will be life-changing for you. I need help. I need help. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of true inner strength that we all have within us. We all have that spark. And sometimes it takes that spark to be blown into flame by the encouragement of other people, by just making that call, just speaking those words and saying, hey, I need help, rather than saying, leave me alone, I don't need any help. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't reach out for the help. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't give help or assistance to people. What you put out there comes back to you. I put a lot of good energy out there, and it's paid off for me. And I'm glad where I'm at today. May the choices you make today be ones that lead you to a safer and brighter tomorrow. Take care of yourselves, guys, but most importantly, take care of each other. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You're kind. I don't know how much time we have here, but it looks like we have a little bit of time. And I don't know if anyone want to ask me any questions or anything, but I'm very open to that. I was never someone who was very outspoken. I was one of the shyest people in the classroom, and this is a skill I learned to develop. I'm professionally trained as a motivational speaker. Okay, I've got my education. As you can see, I graduated and taught my class, but I also went on to university where I've obtained a 4-year degree in psychology. I've gained certainly a level of success in my life that I can be very proud of. Yeah.
Michael, the last time you were here, can you remember how long ago that was? We were trying to sing. Was it 10 years ago?
I don't think it was that long.
No? Okay. I remember...
You weren't that little. Do you remember? What grade do you think that might have been? Or what grade were you in? Grade 5 or 6, just because in grade 10 now?
Okay.
Anyway, and you showed the same picture up there of Vern Troyer. Have you kept in touch with any of those people?
From time to time, some of those people I've been in touch with, but I met some amazing people on the way, and one of the pictures I did show off was me and Mini-Me. And it's interesting you bring it up because I want to make a point about that one. I was in Toronto Airport. I was on my way to a conference for the Shriners Hospitals for Children, and I was on my way to visit the hospital in Sacramento, California. And on my way there in the airport, this gentleman, Vern Troyer, known as Mini-Me in a lot of the different Austin Powers movies and stuff. And I'm not going to recommend, I don't know that the rating is quite right for the movies, but when I saw him pass me in the airport, he looked very familiar to me. And he was wearing the dark glasses and the gold chains, the bling, and I was like, he's in one lineup of security and I'm in the other, and all of a sudden he disappears, he's gone. I'm like, it must be Mini-Me. So I'm thinking, I'm sitting down in the airport and there's a lady pushing him in a wheelchair because he has a rare form of dwarfism and he has a lot of difficulty walking long distances. Because Toronto Airport is huge. They even got these big, large, like almost like treadmill builds that you walk on and it takes you, quite a distance to the airport. And so I seen the lady who was pushing around. I said, excuse me, the gentleman you're pushing, is he still here with you? She said, yeah, he's just waiting to catch his flight to LA. I said, so he's going to California? I said, I'm on my way there too on a flight. And I was just wondering if he had a moment, I'd like to say hi. She said, well, he's kind of in a rush to catch his flight and have a bite. And before a moment was up, she turned around, she said, come on, she said, I'll go see what we can do. And we went to this huge stainless steel doors that were there. Like, it said Air Canada, something like Gold member or something, right? And it was like, she came back out, she went in, she came out, and she said, come on in. And I was greeting, I met him, and I was like talking to him, and the first thing he asked me, he said, you look like you had an accident or something. I said, yes, I was involved in a very tragic fire. I said, but what really happened to me was really no accident. I said, I made a bad choice in my life. I said, I was kind of following the crowd and trying to fit in with people, and I said, oftentimes, I didn't feel right being picked on. And he said, me too. No one ever thought I'd mount to anything. I was always picked on because I was little. And we connected. We connected not because he was a burn survivor, but because of the scars. We connected emotionally, the emotional scars that we both carry. And when he went to leave, I went to take a picture with him. The story behind all this is, and what I'm getting at is the fact that when we talk about random acts of kindness, he didn't have to do this, but the lady asked me if I had my ticket for the plane. I said I do. I just flew around the basic miles that I had, so I was kind of in the back of the plane. I was on a basic ticket, so economy class, so you get stuck wherever they put you. And not this time. When she came back, she gave me a ticket and looked at it and said, Michael Gaultois, first class. I'm traveling first class in the front of the plane. I had a wonderful hot meal, glasses of champagne, not to mention the air miles I got. This guy bumped up my ticket, paid extra money for me to travel first class. I felt like I was on top of the world. All because I stopped to say hello and share a smile, share a story. And look where it took me. It's like, whoa, this is amazing. Amazing to me. Any other questions, guys? It's very quiet in here.
So how many schools and how many people can you gather to guess?
I've been doing this professionally for about 11 years. But I've been really speaking since 1993.
Yeah.
Very first place I spoke to was a nursing class in Corner Brook, nursing school. Yeah. That was your class in '93? Oh my God. Wow. We live in such a small world, but we're enormously connected to people. And sometimes we're connected to people we haven't even met yet, which is so amazing about it all. And so, here I'm talking about the very first place I ever spoke to in 1993, and this lady's in the audience. Right? Any other questions, guys? Before I go, I want to illustrate something, okay? It's something I do many, many, many times. And when we talk about life and we talk about value, I know it wouldn't have taken much that night, just a simple little things like being in places. Places could be so much more safer, even if it's not, you talk about cabins or cottages or your own homes, but we had no smoke detectors that night. We had no fire extinguishers. We never had no proper exits, okay? To think the cost of just a basic smoke alarm is not very much at all. How many of you guys would care to take a guess of how much a basic smoke detector would cost you in your house? Would any of you guys know? Yeah? $3? Anybody else take a guess? Yeah? 20? Yeah, you can, they range in prices, but. Anyone else? Yeah? 10? Okay. Yeah? $5. $5 is exactly what I paid for. What's your name? Andrew? Okay. Good answer, buddy. Good answer. $5. Okay, let's show you something now. Oh. $5 is not much to save a life, is it? Or the people that you love and care about. You live around here, Andrew? Yeah. You live close to a school, or yeah. You seem like a nice kid. I usually come out this way, from time to time. If you ever want to get together sometime, hang out, you got a phone number or something, I'll give you a call, or before you open your mouth and say something to me, what did your gut tell you? What's your gut saying to you? Not to tell me why. You don't really know who I am. See, this is a kid that kind of knows how to trust his gut. Good for you, buddy. Because you don't really know who I am, and master personal stuff is like, and he's got money in his hand, right? I mean, what people will do for $5, right? I mean, what will you do for a Klondike, right? But like, it's interesting to me though. Would you all agree that you wouldn't give out that kind of information to a stranger? Especially someone who's offering you money. Right? But what's interesting is, when there's no money involved, when you're on Facebook and you decide to show pictures of your house, your bedroom, where you live, maybe a cell phone contact, you don't realize that sometimes people may be able to access that stuff, or the words that you speak that may be harmful, that may not be so positive because of how you're feeling in that particular moment. What I'm saying to you, Andrew, right? Your life, just like this $5 bill, okay? There's a lot of value, okay? And you might think this is not much, okay? Now that was a good guess, buddy, and you've been participating. And if you knew me more, and I said, buddy, here, I got $5 for you. That's good. You take it, right, once you knew somebody, right? Maybe, yeah, maybe some of you would, wouldn't you? Okay? But would you still take it if I did this? No? Would you take it if I did this? What? Maybe? Buddy, I put this through the ringer, and you still say you want it. I want to know why. You tell me why. This $5 bill is not the same $5 bill it was 5 minutes ago. Look at it. Look at the marks all over this. Marks that you can probably never erase. This $5 bill is kind of like our own lives. When there are things that may be often said to us, maybe our feelings are crumpled. We might have been kicked down like I felt when I was at the bus stop in the mornings. But just like this $5 bill, we don't lose our value, do we? No matter what someone may say to you, no matter what may be done to you, you're not worth any less because of the things that may happen to you. What's the big difference, Andrew, between this $5 bill and your life? There's a difference. I could lose this today. What's that? If I lose this, can I replace it? Can I get another $5 somewhere? If I work and get out there, I can earn another $5, right? But if I make a really bad choice in life, I may not get a second chance, right? I may not be able to so easily replaced, right? What I'm saying to you, you participate a lot, and I don't need to know any personal information about you. But I want to give you a Take 5 challenge, okay? Would you be willing to take a challenge from me? Yeah? Whether it's 5 weeks, 5 days, 5 hours, 5 minutes, 5 seconds. Take 5. Whatever amount, 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, whatever it takes for you to make a decision on what you could do. What you could do for somebody else with this $5 bill. Or some organization. Anything that you could think about, you can make that decision right now in 5 seconds. Or you could take 5 weeks. It's up to you. But I give you this challenge to decide on what you. I may never know what you do with a $5 bill, but as long as you do some random act of kindness for someone or something, I tell you, your life will never be the same again. Because that energy, good energy you put out there is coming back to you. And life brings you a lot of rewards when you're that kind of person. Okay, I'm going to give you that challenge, my buddy. Thank you very much, okay? Thank you. $5 can be something, but kindness doesn't have to cost anything. But it can mean everything. Okay? And you guys are not just anybody. You're somebody out there who can really make a difference in life. I'm only just one of many people in this world that has decided I was going to turn my life around. I could walk my rest of my life as a victim, but wouldn't really be walking through life. I'd be crippling through life and complaining about everything that's happened to me. You ever heard the expression, when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade, right? You could make yourself a lemon pie or a lemon cookbook or whatever. Very often in life, some people, when they get handed lemons, you know what they do? They squirt it in somebody else's eyes. All that bitterness, all that hurt and stuff they're going through, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that to other people. You've got to learn to take responsibility for your own choices and your own actions. You know what responsibility means? The way I look at it is the ability to respond. The ability to respond. And how you respond to your story either makes you the victim or the victor. What would your story, how will your story end? How will your story begin? A lot of people don't start out well in life, but they can finish well. Will you finish well? I know I want to. Thank you.
I certainly want to thank Michael for coming all the way. I'm at a loss for words. How can you say anything else? You've said it all. You've been a great guest speaker. You certainly suited our theme of stand up to bullying, and especially our theme of kindness. It costs nothing but means everything. Your story is so inspirational and so full of hope, and we're so lucky to have you here. So on behalf of our school and our community, I'm going to call forward Darlene Strickland, who's our public health nurse. Darlene also serves on our health committee. Because of the health committee today, we were able to have you here. So big round of applause for Michael and the health committee, please. Maybe we can all stand. Thank you so much.